Next speaker will be a lovely Lydia, who will be coming up, and she'll be giving us a presentation about being single by choice. And I have so many juicy questions for Lydia, falling off my seat with that.
Good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon, exactly 12 p.m. Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to just give you the floor for you to share with our audience a little bit about yourself, however you see fit to do that. And then I'll ask you questions for the last 10 minutes. Is that okay? Do you have a screen
I
to
have my
share?
nanny here with my daughter. Sorry. I my nanny, so I will go through this and share my story. So good morning or good afternoon, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here and listening to the other panelists and speakers. As Michelle mentioned, my name is Lydia, and I'm honored to share my story with you. I'm not just a CPA and entrepreneur, but also a proud single mother by choice to my joyful, beautiful, amazing daughter, Lady. And today I want to discuss my advocacy for egg freezing and becoming a single mother by choice. Now, my journey to motherhood wasn't conventional, and it certainly was not how I imagined it as a young girl. In fact, as a teenager, I envisioned moving out of my house at the age of 18, getting married at 20 and having my first baby at 22. And, everything went according to plan. I know some of you guys also on the chat. Let me know if anybody else's life turned out exactly how they planned it at the age of 16. Anyone else? Am I the only one? Not. That was not the case at all. In fact, the only thing that did happen uh, was that I moved out at 18. And looking back, I wish that was a part of the plan that did not happen, right? I wish I was still under the care and supervision of an adult. And I still feel that way right now. So, anyways, fast forward, I focus on graduating from college. Then I focus on my career. I grew up in that era of women being independent and not needing anyone. And, I think all of us talked about kind of our backgrounds and our childhood and stuff. So it was so important for me to be independent and focus on my career. But before I knew it, I was approaching 35 with no real prospect of a husband. So there goes getting married at 20, and there goes having my first child at 22. But I still knew that my biological clock was ticking. So I decided to freeze that biological clock by freezing my eggs. I had a friend who had shared many years before how she froze her eggs when it was barely, like barely, it was just so new, and it was just this thing that happened, um, for people who have issues of fertility or diseases and stuff, and so they need to freeze their eggs. So I remember a friend sharing it with me, and it tucked behind my head. I tucked it behind my head because I was still in my 20s at the time, and I felt like, I'll meet somebody. So fast forward to 35, I realized, okay, you know what? This might be a necessity for me. They say if you're going to freeze your eggs, by the age of 35 is the best time to do it. So I'm approaching my 35th birthday, and I decided that was going to be the gift to myself, fertility. So I froze my eggs, and I recently saw someone post that freezing their eggs was the greatest act of self-care, and it truly is. It was also very empowering. I went about life differently, especially dating differently. I no longer had my ovaries sitting at the table as a third wheel. And I can see the people I dated for as they truly were, right? And not as I wanted them to be to fit the role of husband and father to my kids. I stopped looking through those goggles that imagined who I wanted them to be. And that was very liberating. I felt free. I no longer was bound by the pressures to choose between my career and being a mother. I felt free of the pressure to settle with just anybody because I wanted to have a baby. Freezing my eggs, it bought me more time. So I thought. So a few more months went by, a few more months after freezing my eggs, and the pandemic hit. You all remember that little incident in time, right? Just a little blip in time. Just I don't know. I don't know if you guys remember. It was so long ago. It's such a blur. I had streamed all of Netflix and all of Amazon Prime. And like so many, I was left alone with my thoughts and my emotions for an extended period. And I did a lot of introspective work and meditation. And it boiled down to one simple conclusion. I was ready to be a mom more than I needed to be a wife. And so I remember laying on once I had that thought, I remember laying on my sofa for a nap. My hand was hanging off the side of the sofa, and I heard slap, slap, slap on the floor, like the clapping of a baby's knees crawling on my hardwood floors. And then I felt a little hand tug at mine, and I woke up. And in a fraction of a second, 100 thoughts went through my head. Where did she go? Wait, I had a baby? When was I pregnant? Wait, what? What is going on? What year are we in? Where am I? It just felt so real. And it took a minute to process this magical moment, but I knew it was time. I knew right then and there that my daughter was ready for me and I was ready for her. That was clear. And when Joycelyn talked about clarity, that was my moment of clarity, that I was ready to be a mom. And so feeling empowered, by the empowerment that I felt when I took control of my fertility, when I froze my eggs, I decided to become a single mother by choice. Now, at that time, I did not even know the term single mother by choice. I just knew I wanted to be a mom. And I knew that I know simple biology, it takes sperm and an egg. Well, I had the egg. I had the eggs. And so I heard of donor, sperm banks. And so I knew that much. And I remember discussing it with a friend of mine, a close friend, and she mentioned a really close friend of hers who had gone through the journey of becoming a single mom by choice. And that's when I learned the term. I looked into it, joined a Facebook group, read up on books, and I started my journey. And throughout this journey, I came to realize the profound power of choice, especially when it comes to fertility. And too often, women find themselves reaching a point where their fertile years have passed and they look back with regret at not having pursued motherhood. However, I've also observed a different narrative, one where women proactively take control of their fertility by freezing their eggs or choosing to become a single mother by choice. In my experience, I've never encountered a woman who regrets taking those proactive steps. And despite the challenges and uncertainties that accompanied my decision, I found strength and resilience within myself. My journey serves as a testament to the transformative potential of empowerment and a remarkable resilience of the human spirit. And I endeavor to empower other single women by sharing my story and advocating for their right to fertility options. Now, was it and is it scary at times? Absolutely. But I don't remember accomplishing any achievement without a bit of fear and uncertainty. And when I reflect on my journey to motherhood and the incomparable love that I feel for my daughter, I am grateful that I created this path for myself. Now, I'm not here to tell you to do things exactly as I have. Rather, I'm here to encourage each of you to embrace your own path, even where there is uncertainty. Own your own path, even when it goes against the grain, and conquer your path, even in the face of fear. You have the power to shape your destiny and create the life that you desire. And with that, I am so grateful for being able to share my story. I know Michelle has some questions for me I'm ready to dive into, and any questions that you have. I know I had a short time to talk, so I'm grateful I got through this and am able to share my story, and I'm open to any questions that anyone may have.
If anyone has questions, please type them out and then I'll definitely ask Lydia. So Lydia, you've been all over my timeline, girl. Girl.
Are
Every
we? Or
time I
yay?
go on
Which
Facebook, you are on my timeline. I'm like, this girl is unreal. And it was interesting because you and I both attended Barbados Fertility Center. But you did mention that, so I'm just sharing. She did her wonderful service with the Barbados Fertility Center, same facility that I worked with as well. And so um, I'm a little bit more introverted, you could say. So I'm not really loud on social media, though I need to be. But I'm working on it, guys. I'm working on it.
I,
Um,
it took some time.
yeah, I'm working on it. But Lydia had no fear. And I just sat back watching you and just watched with admiration. You know, I would like to comment occasionally, but deep down, I was admiring the tenacity of this woman because you were, and you were then, and you still are, you're breaking the stereotype of what a single woman should look like and what those choices should be for someone who's single. And I felt like it was very empowering because there were a lot of single women out there who are looking for Mr. Right, and Mr. Right is way down the street. He's not even halfway to where you are to connect with you. And I think there's a lot of women who are waiting for Mr. Right and want to do it with that equation first, and time is ticking.
Yeah.
I could say I was one of those women waiting for Mr. Right, and then I had to make alternative decisions, and I am where I am, and I'm happy to be where I
Yeah.
am. Um, but let me ask you, have you had other women who are in similar situations to yourself reach out to you and share their journey or their current situation?
Absolutely. For one thing, I want a small correction when you say this fearless woman. That is a no. I had a lot of fear, but I did not let it stop me. My what I envisioned, how I envisioned my desire to be a motherhood outweighed that fear. So I'm so careful with that because I do not want to give this false impression that this doesn't come with fear. It doesn't come with with uncertainty. It comes with all that. But what was important to me is I kept my eyes on the prize and I knew I wanted to be a mother and I knew I'd be a great mother and I knew I'd figure it out. So I just wanted to clarify that it is an intense journey, but it's one I would do all over again. And so to answer your question, have I had people reach out? Yes, so many times. In fact, I learned when I announced my pregnancy, I had a friend from high school reach out to me and said, Lydia, I wanted to tell you this for so many months, but I wanted to wait until you were pregnant before I told you. But it's because of you that I decided to become a single mother by choice. And she got pregnant like within 2 months of trying. And whereas it took me a year, 2 years. So she, I think she was apprehensive about telling me, thinking that I would feel sad or whatever. And I'm not that person at all. If anything, when there's so many women who got pregnant around me, and I took that as a sign that, all right, that means pregnancy is in my aura. It's there because I don't have a scarcity mindset, right? It's not like, oh, because this person got pregnant, it means I'm not going to get pregnant. That's a scarcity mindset. I saw it as, oh wow, pregnancy is right around the corner for me. So anyhow, so she was one of those who said, because when I embarked on my journey, I've been very open about it. And that was really important to me because there are women out there, like you said, who are waiting. And if I kept it to myself, then she wouldn't, she would have continued waiting and she wouldn't have her beautiful daughter she has right now. And so the fact that I touched at least that one person was confirmation that I need to be loud on social media. I need to share this story. I want people to know that there's this option out there. So yeah, and I continue to have women who reach out to me on social media, um, who say that they're thinking about the journey, and I allow them to pick my brain, and then I kind of want to guide them and stuff. In fact, I am developing some material or like a coaching for women who are starting this journey. and guiding them through everything. I mean, I'm of Haitian descent, Caribbean, right? And, for the longest, I'm sure they thought something was wrong with me because I wasn't married, didn't have kids, and I had to, deal with that. But I always stayed above it. I'm like, this is my life. I'm the only one responsible for it. So I'm going to do things my way. I trust in God. And, and so, yeah, I did it. So definitely a lot of women. So I guide women through that of um, the social stigma, the owning, and that's why I close with saying that you need to own, not only decide on this path, but you want to own your path, right? Because for me, having ownership of that path and knowing this wholeheartedly, this is the path for me, it didn't matter what anybody else said. In fact, I think more people ask me, well, are you prepared if anybody confronts you or says anything about than I have been actually confronted by for the most part, people have been very supportive. I've been called brave. And it's still kind of hard to accept that. That's my own childhood traumas of accepting compliments and stuff. Because for me, it was just doing what I have to do. I wanted to be a mom, and it was like, I'm very strategic. It's like, all right, donor sperm and then reach out to the clinic and do my tests and do all this stuff. It was a checklist for me. And that's how I went about it. So but I realized the importance of sharing this story with everyone.
Indeed. So we're going to go to some questions right here. Everybody wants to know, what is Lydia's IG handle?
So I actually put it under my name there. It's at Lydia and Lady. That's my daughter's name, Lady. It's an anagram of mine, my name. So you can follow me on there. We're working on a website. I was hoping to have a landing page available today. But follow me, and I'll definitely be making the announcement when my website is up and how you can connect with me. And if you or anyone is thinking about this journey or is hearing about it for the first time, make sure you share my information. I am like an open book. Some pages are written in Mandarin, but an open book nonetheless.
Next question is, did your family lend support to your journey? Or better yet, did you tell them? If so, when? How did they take in your decision?
Like I said, once I decided, for me, it was almost like second nature. It's almost like the same way I introduce myself, say my name is Lydia, is like, hey, I'm about to have a baby. So yes, I was very upfront with my entire family. I did brace myself for the different kind of responses that may come, but I think overwhelmingly it was about time. I think a lot of my family was like, oh, about time Lydia's gonna have a baby. And I don't think at that point, I don't really think they cared that I wasn't married or not. Um, I remember telling my dad, and I kind of paused, Haitian guy. I mean, he's pretty, I think, pretty progressive, but, still, the Haitian guy, very religious. And I remember telling him, like, well, I am thinking about having a baby next year. I think I told him like a year before I started. I think I'm having a baby next year. And he knew I was single. And he was like, oh, well, okay, well, great. Then I had to buy some land in Haiti to leave for my grandchild. And I was like, oh, this was sweet. So it was that. And then, I think it was even a new concept for me. So I was aware that it may be a new concept for other people, right? So I was very aware that of the possibility that not everyone would receive it as quickly or with arms wide open. I was aware that of the possibility that people may have questions, and I had to be open about it, right? If I want to be enlighten people, then I couldn't get defensive if they asked me questions. I couldn't get defensive if it said something that wasn't in line with what I would hope them to say. As long as they weren't judgmental or try to tell me I couldn't do it or it's not right, as long as it wasn't that negativity, then I'm okay with it. So I remember having a conversation with my youngest brother. We're 10 years apart, but we're very close. He was actually my first baby. I love him. He was like my little baby. And I remember talking to him about it and saying, you're going to be an uncle. And I didn't exactly get the enthusiasm that I hoped for. And all I remember telling him was, I hope you don't treat my daughter differently because she doesn't have a father in the traditional sense. And we hung up the phone like that. And I think he took some time to think about it. And he sent me the most beautiful message. And he said, Lydia, I love you. There's no way I'm going to treat this child differently or poorly. That is going to be my niece. You just have to understand this is not, I never imagined this. I'm not familiar with this. So please bear with me as I learn more about it. And I couldn't have asked for more. And I mean, he calls and FaceTimes her. So I was like, she's so beautiful. Where's my niece? So yeah, again, and I think what lended to that was that my confidence. You know, I come in with such confidence and pride in my decision that people have no choice but to respond with that same, I really don't give an opportunity for anyone to say anything negative or to cast a doubt on me because I don't know, part of it maybe is I'm a Taurus. We're very determined. Thank you, Marlene. Thank you for that question.
Awesome. Yes, being very determined is definitely key on this journey. Um, and Taurus, I mean, my brother's a Taurus, so
We're not
yeah.
stubborn, we're determined.
Yeah, sure. Determined and stubborn too. But anyway, but that is wonderful. So, do you think this is a path that you're going to use moving forward? Are you going to do it again to grow your family? Because you mentioned also that you had a donor sperm
Yes.
at one point. So, would you build your entire family around this with the
So,
frozen eggs, frozen embryos? What does the
right.
future look like for you?
So truth be told, I always reiterate, clarify, like single mother by choice means, I'm single right now. Does it mean I'm opposed to marriage? Does it mean I'm opposed to relationship? In fact, I still could kind of see myself married. Am I actively pursuing relationship right now? No, I am very fulfilled and very happy being single, and I've been that way for a very long time. So that said, I am open to meeting someone and seeing where it goes. But as it stands right now, I am still single. And I have uh, 8 more embryos, meaning it's the my eggs have already been fertilized. So the 8 more embryos that have the same genetic makeup as my daughter, and 3 of them have abnormalities, so I probably would not use those unless I have to. And there's 2 that are perfect euploids. I don't know if we've gone through this terminology already, but yeah, so euploids. And there are 2 girls, so I have 2 other daughters. Actually, I'm careful to say that because of everything that happened in Alabama. I do not recognize them as children, to be honest with you. Like, I know that they are girls because I had genetic testing. But that's a whole separate conversation about the Alabama ruling. I don't know if we've touched on that before I joined, but yeah. So there's 2 other girls, and there's 3 other embryos that have the biopsy I sent to have tested did not have enough DNA information so I can get them retested to find out what their sex are. But I'm completely okay with having another girl, and now that my daughter's a little older, well, when she was first born, I loved the newborn phase. And I immediately thought, yes, I'm definitely going to have the second one. By the end of this year, I would start the process again. But now that my daughter's getting older and is demanding so much more of my time, like, maybe I'll push back another year or so because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So I do see myself having another child. I would love for her to have a sibling. And I think it'd be really great to see 2 wonderful daughters grow up together.
Can you tell us a little bit about the egg freezing process in Barbados? Because I
Yes.
know you did everything in Barbados. So what was that experience like? And for those who are considering egg freezing, who would like to know more about the process, what that involves, can you just give us some insight?
Absolutely. Okay, so as I mentioned, I started the process on my 35th birthday was on a Monday, and on a Saturday I reached out to the clinic. And sorry, my birthday was on a Saturday. I emailed them on a Saturday, and by Monday I had a response and did the consultation. So The first thing, I would say is just have the conversation, have a consultation, ask the questions to see if you are a candidate to freeze your eggs. And what I mean by that is that, um, you're, I don't know what it stands for, AMH, but it's basically says how fertile you are, basically. Um, and so I would say to do that. Now, as I mentioned in my talk, that they say by the age of 35 is a good age to do it. By then, obviously, the earlier you do it, the better quality eggs you have to freeze. Um, that said, I have a couple of friends who froze their eggs closer to age of 40, and they had really good quality eggs. So I would say definitely have the conversation. They're gonna have you do some tests, some blood work, and stuff like that, to see again if you're a viable, if you're a good candidate for it. Then, there was lots of meds, self injections, and I remember being very nervous at first because I'm not really good with blood and needles and all that stuff. And in my case, when they did my blood work, they prescribed me 11 days of injections every day, where I believe it was like 2 needles at the time. And I remember very nervous going in, and I asked a friend to help me. And last minute, she said she couldn't make it, so I had to do it myself. And by the end of it, when I was done, I kind of missed it. It was the weirdest thing. I actually missed injecting myself. It was like fun. It was, for me, it was like, I'm gonna, freeze my eggs and work on my fertility. It was empowering. Um, so there was that part of it. And so it does take a physical, there is a physical toll. And then I flew to Barbados. I mean, it was like a vacation, and I had two of my girlfriends join me. So it was like a vacation. It really was nice. And I think that's why the center here has such high success rates, because when people come here, you're so relaxed. I mean, it's a beautiful island. The clinic is literally right across the street from the beach, from the water. And I think that's why they have high success rates. So I went there. The freezing of the eggs, the process, it is like a surgery, right? You go into an operating room, you're put under, and because they have to go in there and get the eggs, and they can't have you moving with a very sharp long needle. And then there's a recovery period, about an hour or so. And so I had to be accompanied by someone, so thank God my girlfriends were able to make it with me. And then I was told to rest, but being a tourist, I went hiking the very next day, and I paid dearly for it that night. So definitely, do as you're told, get the rest. And so that was my journey. Again, it was there was a physical toll. There was, of course, emotion. There was a lot of emotions in it, because you're processing the fact that you know it's kind of like, okay, have I given up on the possibility of doing it with a husband? Am I, Dr. Taz, I don't know if she's still in there, but I caught a bit of hers where, we ask, one of the things I battle with is, am I playing God, right? If God wanted me to have a child already, he would have presented me with my husband already. So am I playing God? Am I taking this out of, and, I had just all these things I had a battle with. And as she mentioned, it's like, well, he's an all giving, all knowing, all omnipresent being. And if he put this desire in my heart, and he put this ability, this opportunity, then he supports it. He blesses this. And that was very comforting. That's how I found comfort to that. And again, a lot of my friends were just very happy for me in doing that. And like I mentioned, freezing my eggs, after that, there was this sense of empowerment. I mean, I felt as on top of the world. I was like, wow, like I froze my eggs. I froze my biological clock. I am telling the universe, hey, I can do all these things I want to do and still be able to become a mother later on if I decide. And again, that empowerment is what led to me becoming a single mother by choice. I'm like, if I did that, I can do this. That's what it was. So Barbados Fertility Clinic, I vouch for it, especially with everything going on with in the US right now with IVF and a lot of clinics not knowing the direction that they're going in. Barbados Fertility Center, they've been so open, like, come to us, we'll take care of you. So that's definitely an option for women, and I'm all about options. That's what I am. I'm not here to tell you to do exactly what I did. I'm here to tell you, present you with an option, and for you to choose, and that's all I can say. That's all. if you leave away with knowing that this option is available to you, then I've done my job.
So we have less than a minute, so I'm going to ask a quick question. Someone asks, how old is Lydia? How old is she now?
I will be 40 next Saturday.
Wow, happy birthday. Early birthday. You go, girl.
Thank you, thank you, thank
And
you.
then the next question is, did the islands have more eggs that are of African descent versus the US, if you know?
So I don't know that much about egg donors. I use my own eggs and I use a sperm donor. And I can tell you that something that I have mentioned in on my social media and stuff is that there was very little availability of donors of African descent. And so I end up with a donor that is European Caucasian. Um, and that's something that I kind of struggled with, right? I felt like I wanted a black donor. At first, uh, I put a lot of emphasis on that, but then when I didn't see so many, and I mean it was like a handful, and I actually chose a clinic, excuse me, a sperm bank that in my single mothers by choice group, um, a lot of women said that's where they saw the most diversity. So I'm like, okay, great, and I went there and no, there wasn't. I mean, it was so that told me how the other sperm banks were, and so I ended up, I had to come to this moment, and I was like, well, you know what? My family has all shades, so it really doesn't matter if I go with a black or a white donor. And I kid you not, my daughter is the exact complexion as me. I mean, she looks exactly like me. It's like looking at myself, my baby pictures. She looks exactly like me. Um, so yes, I did. I did a side by side picture of me when I was an infant and a picture of her, and I pretty much made myself. Like she looks just like me. So yeah, I have pictures of her all over my social media, so you guys can go and it's open. You can see what my daughter looks like. But yeah, so to answer your question, there was very little. So I know my friend who became an SMBC after learning about it from me. She what she did was she used someone from I think Sri Lanka, so they weren't African, but they were dark complected, and I guess that was important for her. Um, and so I guess there are alternatives. So for me, I had my criteria, and I actually had a Lydia's baby daddy picking party. So I narrowed it down. So I narrowed it down to about five sperm donors that I liked, and then I invited my friends. I had one friend who was physically there because remember, it's still kind of coming out the pandemic. So I had one friend over, and the rest of us were virtual. But we were drinking our mimosas, going through their profiles, and they helped me choose my donor. And I'm so grateful because he was a very good donor. Apparently, his swimmers are amazing.
Well, I'd like to thank you so much, Lydia, for joining us today, giving us an insight to your journey, a beautiful journey, one that I've been watching from a distance and sat and watching admiration.
Thank
I
you.
definitely compliment you and all that you're doing. And I look forward to baby Lydia number two. That'll be on her way very soon, coming to a store near you, sort of thing. Um, yeah, I'm excited for you and thank you for sharing. And I'll definitely make sure to refer you to others who want to know more about egg freezing and donoring and becoming a single mother by choice. I didn't know what the acronym meant. I didn't even know it existed until I heard it from you.
Thank
So yeah, single mother by choice sounds great to me. Lydia, thank you so much. So
thank you.
everyone else, please stand by for our next guest. It would be lovely Lulu Orange, who will be discussing with us about her journey with victory over loss. An amazing young lady, a busy young lady. Um, but I would love for her to share with us her journey. So stand by. Thank you.